You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications button so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live.
And this teacher come fucking limping past and I said, all right, sir, have you got your shoes on the right feet? And you could see every teacher looking. And the next minute he fucking grabbed me, hit me with this book, and he had my head in a locker, smashing the locker on my head. Worst hiding I ever had up to that age, like. And I remember the first lesson back, two lads come up, and I haven't seen you all summer, whacked me around the head, bang, smacked one, fucking rolled over through this fucking door into a classroom, fucking headbutting him and that. What the fuck's happened here? This fucking, he's only been off 6 weeks, he turned into a fucking lunatic. And I never got bullied, mate, from that day on. In the 80s, it came out, and there was people killed. People stabbed, slashed on a weekly basis. There was some games you'd read in the paper, 22 people were slashed. Just why? It's madness at the time, but at the time it was just how the game panned out and what was going on off the pitch panned out. And as I say, it did it. It brought football to its knees and it killed it. Back 2 weeks in London, Crown Court, Southwark Crown Court it was. And this fucking judge was having none of it, horrible bastard. And he sent us, Gerard Butler, never forget it. Fucking sends us all to jail. And by then all this strike was over, straight to Brixton. Trust me, mate, you don't want fucking 30 Everton on a wing in Brixton. It was fucking on top to fuck, mate. Proper on top. It was fucking evil.
Boom, we're on. Today's guest, we've got Big Andy Nicholls. How are you, Andy boy?
James, good mate, good. Thanks for having us on, pal.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
We don't have a guest here.
You've football hooligan for over 30 years. You've wrote a book.
Scally.
You wrote a book, Scally.
Many years ago.
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
You've been active in the terraces for so long that you've been in prison. You've travelled all over Europe. You got a life ban for following your beloved team Everton. You've been about it, Andy boy. How's life treating you?
It's good now, mate. Like you say, it's 20 years, we say, since Scally come out. And when it first came out, I used to do a lot of writing for fanzines and stuff. And then when the book started hitting the shelves, different lads were doing them from different gangs and that and whatever, firms, fucking crews, call them what you want. And I was approached to say, look, we know you do a bit of writing for fanzines. Do you want to do this book? And it was always like a book on my own life, not necessarily an Everton hooligan book, if you like. And I think that's why it did so well, because it was one of the best sellers that's of that kind of ilk, which has been on the shelves. But when I sent it off, I think he wanted, great fella Pete Walsh from Milo Books, gave me the contract, $6,000, right, this $6,000, like, you fucking having a laugh, aren't you? $6,000, right, and load it, I fucking have that, like. And then obviously money per book. And then I sent this off, and it was like, fucking, I've always found writing very easy. I left school with not a fucking one O level I had. And I wasn't thick, don't get me wrong, I just had no interest. But I loved writing about football, and then I sent him these manuscripts off, and he was like, fucking hell, I only want 90,000 words. You've sent me 150,000 words here. But it was about my life growing up, jobs abroad. There's a lot more to it than football. And he basically said, I'm not really interested in all that stuff. I want the football stuff. That's what's selling these books. And it's always been there. It was that long ago, it's on one of them fucking floppy disks, not even on a card or whatever they call it now. And I've always kept that back. And then since the book come out, so much has gone on in my life. Next year's the 20th anniversary of the launch of Scally. And we were always going to do something maybe after 10 years, but the timing wasn't right. So next year we've got our heads together, and I'm bringing out the sequel of it after 20 years called The Peaceful Hooligan, which hopefully finishes off my life. Not literally, but as someone who was involved in that far too much, if you like. Yeah. But with a lot of other stuff in it, it's not just a football story, it's just, as you say, growing up life and stuff like that. So I look at it now and I think, fucking hell, there's a lot of material there, because as long as I can remember, I've just always been getting into trouble, and that's gone right through my life up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
So like I say, I like a little bit of closure on it, if you like. I'm 60 next year, and when that comes out there, that'll be closure.
Case closed, move on, next chapter.
No more books.
Yeah. I always go back to the start for my guest, Andy, where you grew up and how it all began.
Yeah, well, it's I could still get the stick off the likes of Billy and the lads. I'm pure Woollyback, mate. I was brought up in Flintshire. Grew up and was raised there. Me dad met me mum in the Air Force in the Second World War. She was a Flint girl. Me dad was proud Englishman. He dumped everything, lived over there. One of 5 kids, the youngest by a long way. I think 3 of me, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I can only remember me and me one older brother living at home. They'd all left by the time I'd kind of ever remember. Tough council estate in Flintshire. Same as most people who kind of lived the life we've lived. You know, it was tough, rough. You had to fight. You have to do a great deal. You know, no one had any money. You know, I see Marcus Rashford now, and hats off to him, championing child poverty. Fucking hell, like, I'd like to have seen him around in our day. That was child poverty, mate. You know, you'd be out all day without a fucking bag of crisps or something. Whereas nowadays, if your kid hasn't got a big phone, they think you're in poverty. And it was tough, mate. And say, you know, we brought up, and we basically from early on in life, you like beg, steal, borrowed, fought, right through to school. I went to school over that way, and I fucking hated every minute of it, mate. I was just never one for, I don't know, being able to sit down and have some twat telling you you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And I'll be honest, the education system failed me miserably. Like, it was full of bullies and violent people, you know, and that was the fucking teachers. It was horrible, and I just hated it. I couldn't wait to leave school, and I got me wish. Like I say, school, first memory of school I've got, there was a lad who from out of state, Grey Evs. He sadly passed away, but he was a tough lad. And this taught me a lot of respect, this, and obviously you have to bring this into your life in the end, because a lot of people who fall the wrong end of the law, if you like, they looked upon as not very nice people. But I like to think as kids we all had respect for older people. But I'll never forget about the second day in school, this lad said to me, come here a minute, Graves. He was like a mentor for us, you know, the hardest lad in the school and that. There was this teacher, Mr. Baxter, they all come out the staff room, and he walked funny. You'd see him after the first day walking funny. And this Graves said to him, just say when he goes past, sir, have you got your shoes on the right feet? And I was like, oh, I said, just fucking say it. All right, if you'd say anything, he'd say to do. And this teacher come fucking limping past, and I said, all right, sir, have you got your shoes on the right feet? And you could see every teacher looking. And the next minute, he fucking grabbed me, hit me with this book, and he had my head in a locker, smashing the locker on my head. The worst hiding I ever had up to that age, like. And they dragged him off, and this was fucking educated, high school. You know, nowadays you'd be jail. But anyway, they got him off, and they fucking took me, I'll never forget, took me home in this old Mini, and my old lady was going mad, fucking big eye on me, big lump on my head. And my dad came home, and he went to see the careers master who lived up the road from us, a fella called Mr. Busby. You know, you always remember these things. Yeah. And he come back, he says, right, I'm taking you to school in the morning, fuck off to bed, get to bed. Went to bed, took me to school the next morning. And this fella had to come in with the headmaster and like a teachers' union fella, if you like. And I thought, fucking hell, yeah, he's going to get fucked in here. And he said, first of all, can I apologise? And my dad said, no, leave it a minute. He said, apologise to Mr. Baxter, apologise to him. And I was like, you what? He said, apologise to him for what you said. I said, oh, I'm sorry for what I said. And my dad says, right, come on, we're going. He'll never say that to you again. Get back to school. Oh, fucking hell. And it turned out this fella had been tortured by the Japs in the war and had all the screws on his nails and that's what it was. And my dad, being a proud military man, was fucking, you know, he thought I deserved that, I did, and he probably did. And it taught you an awful lot at the time there. Just got to have respect for these people. And that's my only, like, memory I have of school in the early days. And I thought, fuck this for life. I'm fucking bothering with this place. Like, it's horrible.
Were you fighting back then in schools with other people then?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I started high school, I was pretty much the same size as everybody. And I remember the first day we were there, we went there and some lad was bullying someone, and I remember just fucking headbutting this lad. Most days, you know, kids 11, you didn't used to headbutt, but I fucking headbutt. Cleaned this twat out. Cleaned him out. Years on, the lad sadly died now. Years on, I was meeting him, Carl. And he was like, different primary school you'd all meet, and he was like, bit of a... And I remember fucking planting the head on him and fuck off you. And then, do you know what, mate? For a couple of years, everyone was getting bigger and I didn't fucking grow. And I was like the smallest in the year. And then as school got on further and further, I was getting fucking bullied. Everyone who you'd had a bit of a narc with after the first year was coming back and haunting it. And I fucking hell, I had a torrid time, mate. Just getting bullied left, right and centre. Of people who really, if you'd have stood up to, you'd have fucking wellied. But you didn't have the balls to do it. And then, as luck happened, it changed my life. I started going to the match. A lad a couple of years older. I was always a big Everton fan, but I never ever went. It was like, you know, it was half an hour or 40 minutes away. Hard to get there. And I went. A couple of games, and mate, it just blew my mind. The naughtiness of it, the smell, the horrible. It was fucking horrible. A few weeks before I went to my first Everton game, my brother-in-law was a big red, and he took me to Anfield. And we sat in the seats. I remember playing Stoke. And they won 2-1 Liverpool. And Gordon Banks, it would have been about 10-1, but for Gordon Banks. And I remember coming out and he said, "You're a Liverpool fan now?" Because he knew I was a bit of an Everton fan. And I said, "No, Stoke, because of that fucking goalie." And he was like, "Fucking wanker, you know. Waste of fucking £3 that was taking him." And a couple of weeks later, I went to Everton. Never forget, they played Leeds. Leeds were unbeaten. Leeds were going for the league. And it was madness, mate. And I look back now and I think, fuck. And I was hooked from that first game. Hooked just with the whole place. I mean, I love football, don't get me wrong. Football was something that I watched and admired. But the actual fucking buzz around the whole place and the naughtiness, it just had me hooked straight away. And then we went to a few more games, and then that pre-season, I left school and I was thinking, do you know what? I'm fucking going to football matches here where you can be seriously hurt, and I've got a couple of dickheads in woodwork putting fucking shavings down my neck and all that, and fucking stand up to them. And I remember the first lesson back, 2 lads come up, and I haven't seen you all summer, whacked me around the head. Bang, smacked one. Fucking rolled over through this fucking door into a classroom, fucking headbutting him and that. I'm like, what the fuck's happened here? This fucking, it's only been off 6 weeks, he turned into a fucking lunatic. And I never got bullied, mate, from that day on. The only way, mate, was to stand up to them. And they're horrible, horrible, horrible people. But I've just found school was full of it, mate. And I hated every minute of it.
When did you start getting involved in the violence at Everton?
At the football? Well, I mean, you're always just on the outskirts of it, aren't you? You're kids, 13, 14, unless you're a big unit, you could get seriously hurt. But you always had to be part of the little, your gangs going everywhere. And then we started going, I remember going to Bristol City. I was probably about 14. And we come out the ground and there was a massive kick-off. Maybe run over and give someone a kick up the arse or something. And then, I think it was about the last year I was in school, 79, we went abroad on a pre-season tour to Antwerp. And it was fucking bedlam, mate. That was a different level. It was absolute bedlam. Just the fact you went abroad pre-season, there was no like police involved. And I come back from there thinking, fucking hell, I want more of that all the time. It was like an addiction. And it's I don't know, people, I'm sure cleverer people than me have tried to explain it, and it's just tough. It became an absolute addiction for me. We've had, I've watched some of your shows, mate, drugs, drink, gambling, whatever. Never really an addiction for me, that, but the buzz of the football and what went with it. And it's, at the end of the day, it was a bit of a youth culture, but unfortunately, I look at it like the Mods and Rockers in the 60s. They fucked up everybody's weekends, didn't they? And did the same kind of thing. But they helped sell records, the music part, so people actually gained money from that culture. Whereas what we did, I'd take no pleasure in saying it, brought football to its knees, didn't it? Killed the game. You see some of the attendances in the early 80s, Chelsea 6,000, Everton 8,000, apart from the likes of Liverpool United that had massive support anyway, you know, but they'd still only get 25,000 sometimes because it was horrible places to go. And unfortunately, the culture we generated caused all that. And it did at one time and brought football to its knees.
What's your first proper tear-up you were involved in?
Probably, I'd say Antwerp in 79. That was just, I say, all across the terraces. And then we started going, you know, Everton were a bit shit at the time, so we started going to some England games. If some lads by us, because they were on the graft then, you know, there was lads from all over the country going away. I remember Luxembourg about 81, 82 it might be. You know, it was just the first time I've ever seen not just the police, but the Luxembourg army got chased. England were just relentless, looted, fucking took everything that wasn't nailed down, trouble between themselves. Mental, absolutely mental. If that happened in this day and age, mate, it would be just headline news in every country in the world, the behaviour in them days. And I say nothing to be proud of. It was just how it was in them days. Absolutely nuts.
Is it in your book you says there was like 1,000 of you at some games?
1,000.
And 1 in 10 carried a knife?
Well, you know, I think in a lot of clubs, there was an awful lot of, you know, nasty violence. And you see people now, they say knife crimes on the rise then. I think particularly in the 80s, you know, in the 70s a little bit, it was more gangs and territory and taking ends and that. There wasn't that much kind of pure nasty violence. In the 80s, you know, it came out and, you know, there was people killed, people stabbed, slashed on a weekly basis. You know, there was some games you'd read in the paper, 22 people were slashed. Just why, you know, it's madness at the time, but at the time it was just how the game panned out and what was going on off the pitch panned out. And as I say, it did it. It brought football to its knees and it killed it.
What was your nickname? The Cutters or something? What's it?
Everton, yeah. It's a bit of a myth that we made a big flag once with the County Road Cutters on County Road, I think, and that stuck. Yeah, and it's a little bit of a myth that, but you know there was lots of different.
What did that mean? For the knife?
Yeah, so the County Road was where all the lads drank and that, and the Cutters, because if someone went down there, they got cut. But it's a bit of a myth, really. But a few people made good money out of flags on it and badges, you know.
Were you fighting every game, Andy? Home and away?
Yeah, well, in the 80s, you know, if somebody brought a group of fans basically to any ground in any of the leagues, there'd be trouble, wouldn't there? So it didn't matter if it was Leeds, Birmingham, Everton, Wolves, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man United, fucking Leeds. It was just mass disorder. And then you go to the likes of London and, fucking hell, your day out in London would be like a Beano summer special. You know, you'd be going there and you'd fucking hell, there'd be 6 or 7 clubs playing there and you'd be on the underground and it'd be absolute nuts. What, you know, with the stuff that was going on down there. Every time your train pulled into a station, there could be like fucking 200 Millwall there, 100 Tottenham going somewhere else across London. You might go across to King's Cross and there'd be 500 fucking Leeds just coming off the train, and it'd just be fucking mental, mate. And the only thing I can't understand, and I can't get me, how more and more people weren't fucking badly hurt and killed. It's just madness.
How many fights? So you're in possibly more than one fight, and some days.
Oh, some days you'd be some days. You know, it's that, you know, you'd get on the train, you'd get off a crew, and someone would be changing a crew. You'd have a fucking set 2 at Crew Station. You get to Euston, you'd have a set 2 there with someone else who's coming up north. You'd go across London on the tubes and there'd be a load of Mitre on somewhere. You'd get to Arsenal, there'd be fucking murder there. You'd come back to Euston, fucking Millwall were coming back from Luton. And you get back to Crew at night and so you'd fucking 5 or 6 fucking mass breaks of disorder in a fucking day, you know, and that's how it was. It was just part of your life. It's bonkers.
How was it organised back then? Because I know friends now are still active back in the day, and there used to be friends from different firms. Top boys used to be friends and used to organise that, and then just got on their separate ways. How was it organised then?
I mean, I think it was more sporadic in the 70s and 80s. The 70s, totally, that's just off the cuff stuff, wasn't it? But in the 80s, no one had phones or nothing, did they? But you'd have a look at the fixture list and stuff like that and think, fucking hell, you know, that's could go there. We could be here or there, and it was cat and mouse, really. And then, obviously, a lot of bad stuff happened in the 80s, and then the police became a lot more aware of it, didn't they? They started infiltrating people in the gangs, and they started getting a bit cleverer, and then it got a little bit more difficult, but that drove it underground. So in the 90s, phones come out more, and it was getting a little bit more organised, and in fairness, that got a bit nastier then, because it was offside and people were getting properly hurt and that, you know. And the other thing, it's a myth. You're on about myths. What I don't like about it now, people say, you know, it's bullshit. Fucking hell, when we were doing it, there was no one innocent hurt. That's fucking nonsense. How can you pull in at Crew Station and a fucking big set two goes off? There might be some fuckers going to Alton Towers or something, mightn't there, who were caught up in it, or West Ham go on the North Bank at Arsenal and charge down and fucking women and kids at the front. It's bullshit that it was only them, because it involved everybody, didn't it? And that's what it drove away from football. It finished it for a lot of people, and they never returned until post Hillsborough, really, when the grounds became all seated and it was a lot safer to go, you know.
Through the decades, you've been active 30, 40 years in that stuff, but who was the top firms in the 80s?
In the 80s, I think you'd have to give respect to everybody who was at it, really. You know, I remember we went on it's well documented, we went to Chelsea on a Friday night. Chelsea was supposed to be one of the top firms, and took the piss a bit, and a few weeks later went to QPR and we got spanked. On a day, anybody could turn up anywhere and come amiss. Numbers United had were massive, West Ham, organised. But, you know, I think anybody who was at it at the time should be given the respect from the other firms. I don't mean the general public, you know, they'd be looked upon as a disgrace. But the ones who were active at the time, I think everybody should have respect for everybody.
Yeah. I know it gets a lot of stick, people saying, oh, grown men shouldn't fight. What do you think about that?
I agree with them now, but at the time, fucking hell, it was in through one ear, out through the other, because it was a culture that, you know, you're involved in. And I mean, I lost fucking hell jobs, obviously fines, a little bit of jail, and fucking hell, it can ruin lives, can't it? Mm. But you still went back for more, you know. I got banned in '89 for 2 years. The bans weren't as strict as they were then. I still went a little bit. But the minute the ban was up, you were back at it, you know. And fucking hell, why? And I don't know, it's a daft one, mate. I can't.
Just people thrive on it, because I've interviewed a few football casuals, and I've got to be honest, I know a lot of people give each other stick in that, but everybody's been proper diamonds, like the big guy, big pal Dante Hopkins, he's Tottenham. I had Bill Gardner, West Ham. I've had Baz Barrington.
I've never met Dante. I mean, he's more of the younger generation. I've been in Bill's company. Mm-hmm. Absolute gent, you know, a legend of a man.
Yeah,
and you know, you could take him for dinner with your missus and kids, and he'd think he's just a lovely old grand fella who you've met from the bowling club or something. Yeah. I'm one of the most feared men in London at the football. And people would look and go, "Who him? You fucking laugh, aren't you?" Mm-hmm. Oh no, he's one-eyed Baz, you know, people like that. But I just think you've got to put it into perspective. You know, I mean, we started doing the little tours. I know you've had Carlton on. Carlton, legend of a fella for many other reasons. And
he's just released a new book, so I'll give that a plug, man.
You know, Carlton's a great fella, but we started doing the functions, like a little road show with fucking Hooligan road show. Like, fucking hell. Cass, you know, let's not leave Cass out of it. Cass has earned a lot of the casual lads an awful lot of money by keeping the culture going. But I think at his own admission, he probably takes it a bit too serious. You know, he started this fucking casual road show, and we were going, I remember one night, do you want to come on this? Fucking 500 quid, talk bollocks in Nottingham. Yeah, I'll go, like. Gets there, there was me, Cass, Carlton, and Boaty, great lad. Gary Clark from Forest, fucking diamond of a man, absolute top draw. And we're all getting set to chat, fucking load of bollocks, what we're ever going to do. And we're in the green room, and I remember me and Boatsy and a couple of his pals come out like fucking Tony Montana, fucking like this, fucking yeah, you know. And Cass said, fucking hell, lads, be more professional. And I was like, fucking professional? Load of fat baldy dickheads talking about fucking legging Luxembourg in the 80s. What's it to be fucking professional about? And then he fucked us off. I wasn't invited on another one again. Because he's not being professional enough, talking a load of shite. can't take it too serious, mate. It was something we did as youngsters and maybe a little bit further on into our lives. But luckily enough, most of us have turned our lives around and we're still here to tell the tale. And I think, you know, we're judged by the success of the books and that it is a tale to tell because a lot of people are interested, aren't they? Whether it's sociology, criminology, fucking hooliology, if that's such a word, I don't know. But it's of interest to an awful lot of people. And I don't know, you know, if people can make money out of it, particularly at the level like Sir Cass and people, I'd best of luck to them. I won't have anything bad said against them there, apart from the fact, let's keep it fucking real, you know, let's not be too, you know, it wasn't as fucking professional as what people are making out we are, you know.
What's the best scrap you've been in?
Best big fight? Fucking hell. I think that Chelsea on a Friday night would have took some beating, you know, because a few years before Everton had come a cropper down there and it was always one of them. I mean, the lad at Transalpino, jockey, he made T-shirts and there was a thing painted on Lime Street on the wall, ordinary to Chelsea. So instead of getting the special train, everyone was supposed to get a service train, the ordinary, and it was a famous quote. And we went down there and fucking hell, it was, you know, you repay something like that. It's like when you maybe been beaten 5-0 at home by someone and then you go away and win 6-0. And it was just one of them nights, everything comes together. And we won, which was a bonus. Like. But we've had some good days out, some bad days out, mate. If you've said, if you come in and any football programme, any football lad and say you've never took a backward step or you've took a bit of a clack or you've come off second best, you're talking bollocks, to be honest, mate, because we all have.
What's that like, getting second prize from a tear up?
Fucking ruins.
How does that hurt your pride?
Ruins your fucking day, mate. We far too, not, you know, it wasn't the 70s and the 90s. We had a thing going with Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough were, I think, pound for pound, Middlesbrough have been for years one of the best firms out there because they're big lumps. It's a fucking rough old shithole, innit? And they were fucking, that's all they got to do was go to football. And we had a thing with them at Everton. You know, usually your local rivalries are United City, fucking Liverpool to a certain extent. And we had this thing with Borough like a fucking ding-dong for years. And fucking hell, they come here one day and we were in the pub, thought they'd long gone. And then one of the lads had a call, said, fucking hell, they're walking to Lime Street. And when we fucking came on side and we were in this couple of pubs and we emptied on them, mate. And we, you know, they had to go, but we fucking battered them like. One of their main fellas, I'll tell you a funny story about him, fella Paul Debrick, the Brick, fucking monster of a man, big steroid head. And he was on the phone after, fucking you lot, and we were playing him on Boxing Day. He fucking come here Boxing Day. And I was going, we'll be there, don't worry, mate, we'll be there. And I liked the fella, I got on well with him. And fucking hell. We went there on the Boxing Day on a coach, thinking we're all right. You know, we had this little firm, Snorty 40, they were called. Because Stoke with a naughty 40. And one day the lad seen us and he said, that's a fucking Snorty 40. Then, like, you make your own mind up on that. And we went to Borough. I remember we parked up by this pub. And when the doorman come out, he said, Nicholls, he said, is this it? I said, yeah, but all right, good fucking 50, lads. He said, get back on the bus and fuck off, you know. She's going to get killed here. Everybody's out. And I was like, yeah, be all right, don't worry. Fucking hell, 5 minutes later, we wish we'd have got back on the bus, you know. It was fucking hell, mate. They come from everywhere. We got chased back to the bus and the police fucking saved us. Like, I know Paul was on the he come up to after by the bus going, you fucking bastards and all this. But funny story about him, when all this fucking celebrity stuff started coming, they want you on programmes and all that, don't they? And he phoned me up one day, Nicholls, fucking, what's up? Fucking hell, what's this loony want now? He said, we're going on the Jeremy Kyle show. I said, I'm not going on that, mate. You fucking fruitcake, not happening. He said, no, we're on it. I said, fucking mate. And then how much? He said, 500 quid each, 3 of us, 1,500 quid. I said, no, I'm not doing it, mate. I'll go on fucking Danny Dyer or fucking whatever. I'm not going on the Jeremy Kyle show. So next minute, this fella phones me up. He said, all right. He said, you don't want to come on? I said, no. He said, well, how about if you're the one in the audience who's saying that you're reformed and rehabilitated and all this? I said, yeah, I'll do with that. I'm not coming on sitting next to him and he's fucking bollocking you and that. He said, and then Paul and this other fella from fucking Darlington's is going to be in the seat. I said, yeah, I'll do that, like. So next minute he's on the phone. You're on. I said, yeah. He goes, right, your job is when I smash fucking Kyle in the face, you block the bouncers. I'm like, what? And he was going to do it live on the telly. The minute Jeremy Kyle said something, he's going to fucking welly him. And I'm like, you fucking, and I thought, he's not fucking joking here, because he's nuts, this lad. Like. Anyway, luckily enough, he told that many people what he's going to do. They cancelled the fucking show a few days before, like. And I was like, thank fuck for that, you know, because that would have been horrendous. Like.
Yeah, they've got a 5.
Oh, he'd have got fucking, but he didn't give a fuck. Yeah. And sadly, I work abroad a lot. Like, I used to fuck off abroad. And I'll never forget, mate, it was a sad day. I was in Copenhagen in the Hilton, fucking about. And sitting in the bar, and the phone went, that lad from Darlington, Wheeler, Andy Wheeler, great lad. And he went, all right, mate, have you heard about Debrick? And I'm like, fucking hell, what's he done now? And he said, they found him dead this morning. Far too young, you know, but abuse of some sort. I don't know what killed him in the end, his heart packed in. But he was again a great lad, and it's just far too many have gone that way. Whether it be through drink, drugs, steroids. You know, steroids are fucking evil thing, mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was sad, but that was that typical of him. And then, you know, like you say, some of the other stuff we went on, we got roped in on the fucking Danny Dyer show.
What was that like?
I had a bad experience on it, to be honest, because I didn't do my own work. The first big one we went on was a fella from France. I think his name was Christophe Weber or something. And he was a top documentary maker of the wars and everything. And he was the first one to do it. And he came over and he sold us this show called fucking Hooligans. That's what it was called. All subtitled in France, Germany, whatever. And they got in touch with me through the publisher. And I said, I'm not interested, fucking hell. And he says, a couple of grand. Fucking hell, where do I sign? You know, talking a load of shit about where you've been. And anyway, this fella come over from France with a TV crew. And I was involved in non-league football at the time. And he wanted to follow me to the ground and watch me do a team talk or a training session and all that. And it was a piece of piss, and it was all right. Everybody got on. I think he did about 4 or 5 different clubs. And it came out, and it was highly acclaimed, this documentary. And I think that's where the real football factory, if you like. Danny Dyer was in the football factory, wasn't it? And then he started making these documentaries, the real football factory. And they paid us a bit of money. They paid some people more than others. I probably one of the best paid for them. I'd have got £1,000, I don't know. But they were getting a group of people, Sky at the time, to go around all these fucking daft shows. Fucking hell, Britain's roughest fucking seaside resorts, Britain's roughest pubs, Britain's worst kebab shops, and fucking all this. And it was the same group of people on it. And there's a great lad, a really good friend of mine, sadly passed away a few years ago, Colin Blaney. He wrote the Grafters books, proper old Man United old school. And he was on them. And he brought one of Man U's old lads, Eddie Beef, who in his day was a proper handful, who very sadly passed away a couple of months ago, Eddie. And we were doing all these different things. And then it wasn't long after there was a big set to at Goodison, Everton United, the Battle of Everton Valley, they called it. I was banned at the time, I wasn't even there, but they wanted us to talk about it. And then they got Blaney and Eddie to meet us in the pub, and we had this bit of a chat. And we got stitched, to be honest, because I had to go and meet Danny for a walk around the ground to talk bollocks to him. And these two fucking pairs stayed in on the ale. And the likes of Eddie and Blaney, if there was a free bar there, mate, they'd fucking smash it to smithereens, never mind. And I've come back in the pub and they were fucking Lego, you know, and it was one of them, you go, just go and get changed, put a different top on so it looks different from the walk around with Danny and that. And I could hear Eddie fucking hell, he used to sing that, what's it, the fucking song, Let It Be, and he put his own Eddie Beef, Eddie, fuck, it's going to be hard work, like. Come down, and then they took Blaney then for the talk with Dyer. And me and Eddie were interviewed. And do you know what, James? We must have had half an hour of ripping each other to bits and top banter. But he was fucking winding me up, and he said something and I bit and said, you're chatting fucking shit now, shut the fuck up and that. And then when it come out, that's what they showed. They cut all the laughs out and that. And to this day, I regret that because it made Eddie look fucking stupid, and he was far from fucking stupid. I wish we could have seen that before it went out, but they said, you're not fucking doing that. Like. But that's what happens with these things. You know,
Yeah,
I did a fucking panorama once, mate. I was in Spain on holiday with some lads, and this fella said, do you want to go on panorama next week before the World Cup? I said, fucking panorama, the fuck going off for? He said, you want your on as this fucking expert, fucking panorama. I was like, fucking hell. Go on if you want. Yeah, what's the money? Like the BBC don't want to pay. I'm fucking going anyway. If I don't get you 500 quid. Landed, fucking hell, then we were fucking hammering it. And they asked us loads of questions about your parents in the war and all this. And I remember just saying, I said, from an early age, all my grandfather described the Germans as was German bastards. Because they'd fucking bombed his streets, they you know, and then they hated, wasn't it? My granddad had been dead fucking 20 years, so, you know, he would have been, he was in the First World War. And I've worked in Germany, I got on great with them. And then in this panorama programme, they'd switch to the sing, oh, what have you got to say to the... And had me going German bastards and that, like, and thinking, when you ever going to fucking learn, you know, then you do it again, you fucking go on another one. And so we're having a good look at this one before it comes out, mate. Fucking hell. You know, and that's what it is. We were stitched for it, but it was... I mean, we didn't have to do it, mate, but with the publishing companies and that, you're obliged to do it for selling the books and stuff like that.
Business.
It's business, mate, but I think some of it, fucking hell, in the end, I just stopped going on them. You know, we could have gone on fucking all sorts of different ones, and I knocked them in the end, mate. You know, they used to say after fucking 10 years after the book come out, we'll give your book a mention. I said, fucking hell, it was in the bestsellers for 5 years. Doesn't need any more fucking mentions.
Yeah. What was it like? What's the difference from firms here and the firms abroad? Because the ultras and that abroad look like fucking psychopaths.
Yeah, but I think...
Is that a big difference, or is it kind of the same?
You know, I'm a firm believer, mate, if... The 30 years too late, aren't they, mate? You know, in the 70s, England and English clubs abroad were fucking the top dogs, and there was no real opposition. That these now are trying to, you know, emulate something which they missed the boat on, haven't they? So you've got the Russians running around fucking fields with gloves on and fucking gum shields in, knocking fuck out of each other, the Poles and the Eastern Europeans. And it's more of a sport than a fucking casual culture, isn't it? Best of luck to them if they want to do that, but keep it to themselves, you know. They missed the boat, mate. It doesn't fucking interest me, all that bollocks.
Did you ever come up against a good firm abroad?
Fucking hell, Anderlecht. We went to Anderlecht once and we got off at the wrong station. Well, we got off at the right station because we were told not to get off there. And we ended up going out like, fucking hell, there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And we were all right. We were close-knit. We did all right. Feyenoord, we went in the late 70s. Rough fucking place. Like, yeah, going to these places, they're rough, aren't they? Fucking Rotterdam, you know. People say, oh, they're foreign film. It's going to be a rough as fuck area. It's like Liverpool, Rotterdam, isn't it? And then, you know, you look at the Italians now and I think, you see them in Leicester the other week taking the belts off and fucking trying to take people's eyes out with belts and all that. Fuck off, you know, give it up now, mate. Put your fucking belts on and fuck off home, you know, it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it for me, that, you know, it's not really what it's all about. But, you know, if they're still at it, mate, aren't they?
See, when you're proper active though, you know, obviously you're a mad Everton fan. Does the score even matter, or are you just going there to fight?
No,
after
mate,
a while.
I love the football, mate, and you know, I see some people do that and say I don't give a fuck what the results are, mate. I wanted Everton to win every game, and I loved it. The best years of my life, 84, 85, 87. You know, when Everton had a great side, Howard Kendall was the manager, and it was just the best days of our lives. That, and we started going abroad a bit. And obviously Heysel happened, and Heysel, I went to Heysel. At the time, a lot of Everton, Liverpool lads would go away to get a grafting, and I was at Heysel, and it was a terrible, terrible night, that. And it changed, I think, football. You know, everyone got banned from Europe, and it was fucking a sad, sad night for football, that. What
was it like between Everton and Liverpool? Was there many scraps?
In them days, it wasn't so bad because a lot of the older lads all knew each other, and it'd be more drunken, pissed up fights at the end, but after Heysel with the banning orders, and like a lot of people resented him because kind of, you know, people say it cost us a European Cup, but I don't know if he'd have ever won the European Cup, but you've got a better chance of winning it when you're in the fucking thing, haven't you? The government banned everybody from playing European football, didn't they? So it got a bit more nastier between the two lots of lads, and then the younger lots have come through, and And I'd say now it's a derby now, like the others have gone. You know, when we used to go, you'd be sitting next to someone, Liverpool fan, and there might be the odd punch thrown. There'd be fucking 3,000 Everton in the Cop when they played at Goodison, a couple of thousand Liverpool in the Gladys Street. Now it's fucking segregated. You know, you couldn't do it. You might have the odd mate of someone who's there, but it's not. It's probably one of the more hostile derbies now between the fans because of the resentment between each other, you know.
Did you ever go over and fight for England?
Yeah, we went a lot of England
How does
games.
that work then? That's really all the firms who fight against each other, they all unite into one, or do you still fight each other?
No, it was bad. In the 70s, mate, West Ham were fucking nasty. You know, the thing is, we used to go Everton, Liverpool lads, and the Manx, we got on well with the Manx because we were all grafting and doing the T-shirts and stuff like that. And we got on all right with them. But them fucking Cockneys, mate, they were horrible, you know, they'd be just, you know, you'd have to go on different boats and fucking there was no fly, he didn't fly around in them days. He was on the boats and that, and it was a dodgy place to go, mate, watching England. And it was scary at times, like, I remember I was working in Sweden in 86, and England played Sweden, and they're fucking trouble between each other, Leeds, Chelsea, were having a thing at the time. On the odd games, like I think in the Euros in 88 in Germany, yeah, just before Italia 90, was when they started getting together a bit then, because the Germans had a massive mob, the Dutch had a massive mob, so it was like more, fucking hell, you have to stick together here. And a lot of the lads kind of did get together and say, look, obviously there'd still be the odd Birmingham and Villa that'd have a bit of a punch up in the pub, Wolves and West Brom, Tottenham and fucking Chelsea would never get on. But in the main, they stuck together a bit more then, and that kind of brought it together. And I was banned again when they started having a few tattoos with Poland and that. But by then, I think everyone had kind of, you know, stuck together, and that's what they did, and that's what they were better at doing, really. Because if you've got all them in-house arguments going on, you're not going to be safe here.
Yeah. What was it like? What was the one? Remember the Leeds fans get murdered? Was that in Turkey?
Yeah, in Turkey.
So even you see stuff like that, does that make you question it and think that could happen to me, or do you get angry about it?
I think at that time then, you know, it can happen to you, and you know, you think, fucking hell, you know, that's just wrong, innit, mate? You know,
yeah.
Like I say, Heysel was bad, you know, and a lot of people, I argue with a lot of people who say, oh, that fucking wouldn't have happened, we were great and all that. Heysel was the one that brought it to the head, wasn't it? And when I was over there, it was a shithole of a ground, shit segregation. And I think a lot of England firms who would have been there, like the big club firms, would have had the same problem that Liverpool had that time. The only problem was, I think, with what pissed everybody off, that the bit of a smoke screen was put up at the time, and then the government got involved and banned everyone. I think if they'd have probably said, look, yeah, we're fucking sorry, ban us for a year or so, it might have saved everybody being banned. You're going about Everton, United missed out on great chances. Little clubs like Coventry, Southampton, fucking Wimbledon won the cup. Never had a chance to compete in Europe because the government were eventually going to be sick to fucking death of what was going on, and they blanket banned everyone, and then FIFA or wherever it was, UEFA threw a bit more on, didn't they? And then fucked it up for everybody, really. Yeah.
What was it like in the 80s, early 90s when it started hitting with not just fines, then it became 5 years, 6 years prison sentences?
Well, you know, I got lucky once. I was working abroad and I came home for Christmas and we went to Arsenal. And I'd been away a couple of years and the rave scene had took off big time. And I missed out on all that, which I'm thankful for, because I reckon I'd have gone bang into that because of the money you could earn and that. So I was working abroad, and I remember coming home to Arsenal, flying over to London, and then meeting the lads at Euston, the train come in, and about fucking 60 got off. And I was like, I missed the fucking, where is everyone? And this lad saying to me, this is it now, lad. This is what we've got. Fucking, you know, we've gone from like 300 or 400 in them 2 years to fucking 60 because of what was going on, and people had all started going to raves, and it's a little hardcore thing. And we come out of Arsenal station, fucking right by this pub, fucking stupidest thing ever. A couple of lads by the pub, and these cockneys were going, fucking keep going, and we were just straight into them, fucking bang, 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 off we go. And the fucking police station was next to this pub, where all the fucking police were getting their match day. This is what you have to do. And I remember this copper saying to us, fucking hell, we opened the window and there you were. And they nicked us all. 30, 31, 32 of us got nicked. but about half a dozen got fucking pulled in by mistake. They come off the next tube and they shit themselves. Where do we go? Go with them lot. And they got nicked. And we went to Ivory Magistrates Court before Christmas. And they said, right, got a trial in January, February. And we went there and we were like fucking laughing, breach of the fucking, whatever it was. It might have been, fucking breach of the peace, whatever. Threatening behaviour. All of us got done for threatening behaviour on block. And the next minute, the fucking magistrate come in, guilty. And all these fucking police come in. And our fucking solicitor was like, fucking hell. And he was going, the fella going, yeah, I don't know. Fucking sent us all to jail for 2 months or something, I don't know. And I was like, you fucking what? Fuck all. Bump, off you go. But the funny thing was, James, at the time, the fucking prison officers are on strike. So there was nowhere to take you. So we got put on these fucking minibuses and they were taking us to all prison cells all over police cells all over the country. Remember me, a lad, Mick Blaney and Jock got fucking dropped off at fucking hell, Melton Mowbray, the fucking pie place, fucking by Leicester. And we were in this fucking police station. And this must be a first, mate, honestly. The traffic police were looking after us and there was an exercise yard at the back. It's fucking middle of the fucking summer. Just as maybe the start of spring. Fucking remember it boiling hot. We were sitting in this prison yard and this Mr. Big from Leicester got brought in, big drug dealer. And then he said, right lads, he said, we don't want any fucking hassle here. Don't fuck anything. We said, fucking hell, mate, we just got, 3 or 4 weeks to do in here. Fuck off. We're all right. And there was a black fella in the cell with us. About 6 of us there. And this fucking drug dealer at night said, right lads, I got some fucking orange juice here. Brought some orange in. His bird bringing this orange in. Fucking full of vodka and orange. He's fucking drinking and shit outside, fucking drinking. He's supposed to be in fucking prison. And then the next minute, this fucking copper comes in. He goes, lads, do you want us to go and get you any pizzas and shit? And it was like, fucking, it was like a little holiday camp. And then the soft twats appealed on the sentence. And after we'd been there about a week, and this fella brought us in, he said, listen, lads, I've got some good news. You could be going home tomorrow. We were going, fuck off. We'll stay here for another week. We'll do the sentence. And he was going, you fucking, I said, fuck off. We'll stay. The 3 of us both said, no, we don't want to go. But because we were all sent at the same time and all as one, we had to get released. And we were fucking gutted that we'd been released. Because what you had to remember then was you're going back to court, Crown Court, sentence could have been a lot worse, and you're going to end up in fucking jail. And that's what happened. We went back 2 weeks in London, Crown Court, Southwark Crown Court it was. And this fucking judge was having none of it, horrible bastard. And he sent us, Gerald Butler, never forget him, fucking sends us all to jail. And by then, all this strike was over, straight to Brixton. Now, trust me, mate, you don't want fucking 30 Everton on a wing in Brixton. It was fucking on top to fuck, mate, proper on top. It was fucking evil. So they had to put us on a segregation fucking unit. I'll never forget, mate, on the Sunday, one of the scariest I've been in my life, this lad said to us, listen, if you want to, when you get half an hour out of the cell a day, go for your meals, take your meals back to your cell, all for our own protection. And then he said to us, on a Sunday, put your name down for church. He said, it's a fucking hour walk through the church and then everybody joins you. You can't stop no one going to church. Half an hour in church, hour back, Sunday dinner. Kills a fucking morning. Like, fucking hell, we do that. Like, fucking hell, mate. I've never seen anything like it. It was the fucking scariest day of my life, mate. They had to let all the IRA there. There was loads of IRA at the time in Brixton. There was just not long after when an helicopter tried to land and fucking break people out. It was all that time. And these IRA, fucking all sorts of fucking paedophiles and that in the church. It was going off over the fucking pews, the aisles. Fucking the vicar, whatever his name, fucking pack it in. Come on, lads, a place. You'd fucking hear that. Someone else, like, fucking hell. I'll never forget the week after the fellow at church, everyone went, fuck off, we're not going back there again. Mm-hmm. It was fucking scary, mate. And that was a bad, bad, evil place. Then we did the rest of the sentence and we come out, and for our own safety then, they didn't even let us go and fuck off. They put a coach on to get us out of there because such was the bad feeling. We were all down and there was mobs outside. Fucking horrible, mate. It was fucking on top to fuck, mate.
What do you do when you come out? Do you ever think, right, okay, I'm going to change my life, or do you think just want to go for the next battle?
Well, we was banned then. We were on a football. We were on a ban. No, we were on a banning order then, mate.
How long?
18-month banning order, I think it was.
Did you ever skip in when you had the
Yeah,
ban?
because no one gave a fuck in them days.
Yeah, no
So,
cameras,
so
nothing.
we were that season. Everton played. It was the season of Hillsborough. Bad fucking 89. We come out of jail, and I fucking go. And I never forget. We went to Villa Park the same day of Hillsborough. And that's the sad part of it, mate. That was a toss of a coin where you're playing it. Everton played Norwich at Villa Park. Liverpool played Forest at Hillsborough. That could have been us at Hillsborough. Fucking the saddest thing that's ever happened in football, innit? All them fucking kids, fucking people.
Sad, man.
97 now, was 96, and it just, I've seen the programmes on it. The two daughters died, and there was a lad from over by ours, John O'Brien, McBrien or something, died, 16, 17. It's fucking horrible, mate. And that could have been us. If we'd have had the toss of that kind and we'd have played Norwich that day at Hillsborough, that could have been us, and you got to remember that. But we were banned at the time, so we still went. And then we beat Norwich 1-0, and we still didn't know the enormity of what had happened that day. We were all on the piss and that. And I remember going home with one of them big fucking box furniture vans, we all in them days. And we pulled into this fucking pub, fucking Stafford or something. And we walked in, fucking Wembley and that. And then people were looking at us, you fucking disgusting bastards. And I'm like, what? And it was on then, and then you realise the enormity of it, like fucking 15 dead, 20 dead. And remember we had the radio on the way home, and the lad was going, fucking hell, it's 40. And that finished it, didn't it, for many footballers as it happened. And then we went to the cup final that year. We played Liverpool in the cup final. Liverpool won the rearranged game. And we still went. We were banned. And a few got nicked. And then it just started getting a bit smarter. The police were on you and that. And so I remember we played Millwall away, and I'm fucking not going there. It was on top. And a few were getting nicked. And I think after that changed it, mate. They were on to everybody. And they come with the undercover fellas. The liaison officers were following you around and that, and it was it was on top to fuck then, like, and they seen like lads were getting 5 or 6 years in jail, when if they'd have done it in a pub fight, they'd have got fucking community service.
Slap the wrist. What was Millwall like? They've always got the reputation of being a top firm.
I've been there a couple of times, mate, and it was nothing of note really. I don't think they've had the same thing in that new ground they were, but obviously there's stuff going on now down there, isn't there? So it's a tough subject to talk about, that, mate.
Who's the top firms you come up against?
Like you say, on the day, mate, and I don't think you can you can disrespect any of them, mate. The likes of the London lot. I've been a testimonials at Everton when Celtic and Rangers come down. It's been fucking bedlam, mate. Absolute fucking bedlam. Aberdeen, we went up, fucking that was a nightmare. We went up to Aberdeen, pre-season friendly, and we went up there. And we get there on a Saturday morning, and there was a bit of fucking mither, not great deal. And then we come out the ground, and it was going off again. And they were quite a rough place, Aberdeen, like fucking middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they're big fucking.
And I'll never forget, mate. We were in this hotel, got ready now to go out for the night. I remember this fella behind the bar saying, "Hey lads, fucking be careful tonight." He said, "It's not like fucking England, this, mate." He said, "If you get fucking nicked here tonight," he said, "you don't get your fucking charge sheet and you come back in a fortnight. You're here till fucking Monday."
Yeah, weekender.
And he said, "And the bad news is, Monday's a bank holiday. You're here till fucking Tuesday." And we were like, fuck off. Anyway, as I was going to court on Tuesday, I thought he was telling the fucking truth. We were there all week in that fucking castle place, and it was fucking horrible, mate.
Yeah.
And that went on for about a year. That fucking it's fucking nightmare, mate. We had to travel up once a month to give up bail, and it went on and on because they were pulling more and more people in. And there was about 20 of us in the end, Everton, Aberdeen, and we ended up with Mad James. We ended up fucking great mates with them. And it fucking goes to show how the football lads are just, in the end, we were going to fucking pub with them. Fella Willie Miller used to be captain of Aberdeen. He had a pub outside the fucking courts.
I think he used to be the manager, yeah.
We used to go there and have a pint with him before we went into court and that. And we were all going, they said, fucking, they're going to get 2 years here. It went on that long. And the day we went up to trial for sentencing, this fucking judge said, "I'm not having these probation reports. Fuck off and come back," saying, "Well, I should give you 12 months, not 2 years, because our probation officer said, "Fucking hell, you're good lads, you're all right, blah, blah, blah." Fucking hell, that's a nightmare. Went back the following week for sentencing. This fella had fucking food poisoning. They put some fucking judge in charge, didn't have a clue, and he gives a fucking fine. So that was us and the Aberdeen lads. We were on the fucking lash, long into the night. Great lads, and the luckiest escape ever, that, mate, because a long weekend there was bad enough in that Aberdeen. I couldn't have done 2 years up there, mate. I would have done me fucking living.
Seeing you quite against guys like Big Baz, who was with the Zulus and Birmingham, like kickboxing world champion. How, see if when you're in a scrap, do you know, right, he can fucking scrap? Was it still a free for all?
You'd see a few, mate, at the front. I'm not a fucking hard fella. We just think we're a bit fucking mad and a bit daft. And everyone's got these fucking big fellas, haven't they? So leave them fucking to it, really. If you have a little look around, you see a big fella with one black eye coming in, and his fucking foot's this high, you think, fuck him, I'll go round there, innit? You know. But they're good lads, weren't they? Baz, people like that, you know, the fucking size of Cass, as if you see Cal, fuck that, mate. Bill, you know, Bill was younger, the fucking
massive,
lump, mate.
Yeah.
What's the line going to be like? Fucking, is anyone my size around there type of thing? But then it's fucking big free for all, mate. You're lucky or you're unlucky. You know, I've been putting my ass by fucking 5'2" fucking fellas, but they can hit hard. So, you know, it's one of them, mate, isn't it?
What was it like when you got your life ban from Everton?
I was gutted, to be honest, James, because I'd done no fucking wrong at the time. Obviously, I got offered the book deal, mate, and I did the book, and it came out a lot worse than what it could have done, if you like, because it was a life story, and I'd said they took all the stuff out, didn't they? And it was a pure football hooligan book, which wasn't necessarily me. You know, I had lots of other things going on in my life that I wrote about anyway, so that was hard luck, mate. It goes with the territory writing the book, doesn't it? And a few weeks before, the publisher said, listen, there's a fella from the Liverpool Echo coming to see you, and he wants to do this big story. And I was like, yeah, that's all right. And he said, he's already warned me, it's not going to be fucking nice reading. I was like, fucking hell, that's all right, we'll do it, you know. So when I met this fella, lovely fella, I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was just before the season started. The book was ready to go, but they weren't bringing it out till October. These publishing companies have a date of release so they can hit the certain market. So they're all on the shelves for Christmas. So I'll never forget, mate, it was like October, the book was coming out, but it was ready in the August, and people having sneak previews of it. And I'd been on holiday to Cyprus, and I remember coming home, and as a little safety net, I'd started doing bits of charity work for the Former Players Foundation at Everton. They're like a nice registered charity, and as Everton, the community. And I'd started doing a bit of work with them because I kind of had to think I need a bit of good publicity here. So I'd registered to do a bit of work for these. Anyway, I came home and I'd done a couple of little dinners and thrown them a bit of money. And I come home and this thing said, do you want a week on Saturday, you can play at Goodison. And nowadays you can book the pitch at the end of the season and hundreds of people playing it. In them days, it was fucking unheard of. You can play at Goodison before David Unsworth's testimonial. Everton old boys and celebrities against Liverpool old boys and celebrities. I was like, fucking hell, that'll be all right. You know, a little thank you. Thanks very much. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I was thinking, fucking hell, it won't be top players playing and all that. Anyway, turned up the fucking ground with me bag and all this. And goes in the dressing room. It was like fucking Neville Southall was in goal. Joe Parkinson, Mark Ward was playing, Graham Sharp, Derek Mountfield was the manager. And he were there, like, yeah, you know, to try and give the non-players half a match each. So he said, what should I say? I'll go full back, mate. I'll be all right. I'll go full back. He said, right, okay, yeah. And we went in the tunnel, and then Liverpool come out. And the first person I saw was fucking John Barnes, like. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, mate. I'm just full of fucking Keogh Lager and fucking Mezzies. And this fucker's only finished playing about 2 years ago, and I'm marking him. And I was like, that's when I realised adrenaline was fucking brown, mate. And I said to Derek Mountfield, listen, mate, I feel a bit, I'm going to spew up. Nerves. But I just didn't. I wasn't feeling. I just thought I'm going to get Scott onto myself. He said, right, swap with him, Billy. So John Bailey, fucking great fella, John Bailey, Everton, fucking top ex-player. Great laugh. He said, John, you go on. And I said, I'll just have to go to the... So the biggest regret I've had, I missed going out to Z Cars before that would have been great, you know. And there was about... I think there's about 20,000 at the end, but this was like an hour and a half before the main game, 20 minutes each way. So there's about 10,000 in there. would have been great going out to that. And I remember going in the dressing room, pretending to fanny around a bit. And then I come back down. I thought, right, they've fucking started by now. So I've gone down the steps. Fucking John Barnes comes off. He's pulled his fucking hamstring in the warm-up. And they've replaced him with Stan Boardman in a fucking German outfit with fucking wellies on. So I could have had a fucking field day, you know. Anyway, the game goes on. I went on in the second half. We beat the fuckers 2-1, which was good. And they had like Mike Cooper in goal, Rob Jones, Phil Neal, David Fairclough, fucking people like that playing. And I remember fucking Rob Jones putting it past me and going to run past it. I cleaned him and put him into the gravel. And the ref was like, and fair dues, that Rob Jones, like, oh, he's only fucking. I remember Derek Mountfield going, fucking back in, you know, everyone was cheering. Anyway, we come off. We won 2-1, we come off. And we goes in the dressing room, get changed, and the fella was like, lads, fucking hurry up here now, because all the first team are arriving. It was a proper match now, Everton against Atletico Bilbao. And Unsworth come in, give us all a little shitty medal. And then there was little envelopes with the players' expenses. And then fair play, he said, look, lads, all the money's going to the former Players Foundation. I don't think anyone wants the envelope. And I won't mention who it was, but he was an absolute twat. He said, fuck off. He said, I want mine. An ex-top Liverpool professional was the only one to take the envelope. And he fucked off. So they give us these tickets out to go in the stands to watch the proper match. And as I was going up the stairs, the steward said, can I have a word a minute, mate? I said, yeah. He goes, you can't go in. So what do you mean I can't go in? He said, you can't go in. He said, we've had a word, you've got to fuck off. I said, just fucking played on the pitch, you soft twat, you know. And he's like, no, you fucking clear off. You're not allowed in on the list. And that was the start of it. I thought, fucking hell. And apparently the Echo had sent this thing to the club, and the club had gone, we're not fucking having this. So a few weeks later, we were playing Arsenal. And it was the game when Wayne Rooney scored his first goal, the wonder goal. Sheeman beat Arsenal's record. And I was there that day, the morning, and then this fucking taxi pulled up outside my apartment, pressed the buzzer. He goes, all right, lads, yeah, got a fucking letter here for you. And it was the big letter. We had a board meeting last night, and they've taken a decision to ban you for life. Like, fucking hell, that's a bit harsh, isn't it, you know? You know, because as much as I probably deserved a bit of a bollocking or something, I thought, fucking hell, that's fucking way over the top. So anyway, we thought we'll appeal against it and shit like that. And then a few weeks later, we were going to Holland on a trip somewhere. And I got fucking pulled in at the airport by the police. And they just said, look, we're taking your fucking passport off you. You're in court tomorrow on the basis of some of the excerpts we've taken out of your book, which were in this current time frame, which meant they could take you to court over it. It's like, fucking hell, don't need that. And it was funny as fuck. Have you seen that programme on the telly, like Airport, when they interview people by the fucking dickheads have forgot their passport and that, haven't they? It's all EasyJet and that, isn't it? Oh, here's Billy, he's forgot his passport and that. And I walked off, and this fella said, oh, we're doing this thing. What was going on then? And I just said, oh, mate, I fucking had my passport talking to me by the police. I'm trying to change my ticket. And he said, oh, would you be interested to do a little interview with us on what's happened there? We haven't had that before. I'm like, fuck off. Trying to fucking marry you and that's on. Anyway, he said, oh, well, where are you going now? I said, I'm fucking going to try and change my ticket to fucking Amsterdam and go and have a fucking couple of days of smashing everything in sight. Like, when the programme come on, it wasn't on that, like, it didn't get on it. So I went to court and I got a two, maybe a 3-year ban from any football. It's like, fucking hell, it's getting worse, this, is it? And then you think then, is it worth all the fucking hassle, you know? But then every now and again you get a check for 10 fucking grand off your book and you think, yeah, I'll take that. Like, yeah, it is. I'm not fucking bothered. And then I thought, fucking hell, I'm a bit pissed off here. So I got into local football. I'd always done a bit of amateur football playing, not particularly any good, but played probably reasonable levels. But I always preferred the Sunday league because I always watched Everton on Saturday. Now I was banned, I started fucking taking a bit more of interest in the Saturday football. And this Sunday football team I'd managed for 5 or 6 years. Again, I got fucking banned from everything. I got banned from playing for fucking a year, fighting with some fucking fans on the side of the pitch when I was playing. And I took this Sunday football club over, and they were bottom of Division 4. We won 4-3, 2-1, retained 1. And my dad was poorly at the time. So we disbanded it. But then this club come in, little village club with us, but they had a good team, come in to me and said, do you want to come as a number 2 to this lad, a good mate of mine, Perry? I said, yeah, I'll have a go at that. So we didn't have to do any badges in them days. It was second tier of Welsh footballers. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I started to prefer the non-league side of football and the professional bit, partly because I couldn't go. And fucking hell, we had a great season. But do you know what? We got Bangor in the Welsh Cup, who were the top team. Bangor are one of the most well-supported teams in Welsh football. And the other lad, the lad who was the manager, was a player manager. He was like fucking, he's going to play in that game, so I was going to be in charge. And their manager, mate, was a fucking, you might remember him, Peter Davenport. Played for Forest, Man United. Mm-hmm. And we come up against them. And at half-time, fucking hell, it was 0-0. They were giving him dogs abuse, fucking screaming, shouting him, going down the tunnel. Fuck off out of our club, you English bastard, and all this. You shut your fucking hell. And as I walked down, I just said, I'm available if he gets fucked off. And they all had to laugh at that. Anyway, they come out the second half, they fucking hammered us about 6-0. And at the end of the game, that's how poor he was, mate. I went to shake hands and he went, you're still available now, fuck off. Horrible bastard. And that summed up, and he got fucked off a few weeks later. But then from that, I took over another club, Hollywood Town, quite a big club in Welsh football. And as manager, number 1 there. And honestly, mate, the minute I took over, all the press wanted to do was talk about me past. There was fucking headlines, thug takes over the town, fucking nightmare, every bit of press was bad press. And, you know, we're on about football associates and that, mate. I was on a fucking hiding to nothing, mate. And by the time I left, I was banned from every aspect of fucking non-league football as well. The run-ins I had in with them, mate, they were fucking horrible, mate. Yeah. They were absolute twats. We had one game there, mate. This is how bad the press were, right? But how gullible they are. We were in the Welsh Cup and we drew Aberystwyth, who were a much better side than us. But they drew the round after. And the round after was like winners of 2 shit teams. So I thought, if we beat them, you know, we're in the quarters. And if we, in the semis, if we get the right draw, the team in the final, TNS, New Saints, will win the league. They're already in the fucking Champions League. She got into Europe through this. So I put a little press thing out. I said, someone said, what do you think of the draw? Like, they phoned you up the press. And I said, fuck, I'm a bit worried, you know. If we beat Aberystwyth, then we're playing one of these 2 shit teams. And TNS in this, just roll-balled one in. And the next minute it was in the papers, fucking Scally manager can't go to Europe if Ollie will fucking get in the thing. And they had to drag me back to court to put a fucking dispensation or something in the court order because it was stopping you getting a job if you got, and it was fucking never going to happen. Never in a million years we're going to get into Europe. But that's how gullible and that these FA were and that absolute gang of twats like.
How did you get into management? How did you get into it?
Just through the Sunday League, really. I did that well on the Sunday League. And I mean, like, probably the team who went from...
Was that the first team you ever managed?
Yeah, just
managing
fucking,
Welsh teams?
To managing second tier Welsh football, you know. And then, fucking hell, mate. And don't get me wrong, mate, there's not a lot to it. It's like the Premier League. Money rules, mate, even at that level. And grassroots football is fucked because of it. Because the best teams in non-league football are probably the ones with the best budgets. So you got the best players because you can pay them the most money. And then you've just got to go big goalie, big centre-half, centre-mid, striker. You square peg, square holes. You do all right. The last year I was there, mate, we beat 4 clubs, Airbus, landed no Prestatyn, Bala, with me as manager, and within 3 years, all of them were in the UEFA Cup because they had top budgets. And then this club, bless them, you know, they were fucking on the bones of their ass. And then we had a bad season, we were going down. And this is where it all went wrong. We played this team on the outskirts of Wrexham, Gresford, and there's no love lost between Flintshire and Wrexham. And it was virtually impossible for us to stay up. We were fucked, you know, but mathematically we could. And we were winning 2-1, and I was there with my fucking suit on by the dugout, and they were all fucking rabid on this next dugout. And then they got a penalty in the last minute. I was like, fucking hell. But mathematically, we still stayed up. But we were fucked. We were going down. And they scored this penalty, and I never forget, this twat next to us jumping up and down. He was like the fucking fella off the Mean Machine. Remember him? Fucking cunt, send them down. Fucking tonight, send them fucking down. I've just fuck off. Fucking hell, mate, the lot's gone. Into the dugout, fucking match abandoned, everybody fighting. And I remember their chairman coming up, lovely fella, fucking great charity work. I've do a lot of functions with him, a fella called Phil Jones, and he just says to me, Nico, you've got a fucking screw loose, you're a disgrace. And it hurt me, you know, and a fucking suit covered in mud and shit. I said, fuck off him. And he went, he's got Tourette's, mate. I was like, fuck off. He said, mate, he's fucking suffered for years. I was like, what can I say? He said, fuck off. Just and I was like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So the next minute now, this fucking letter landed like a fucking encyclopedia, mate. All his charges and that. But just bringing the game into disrepute. So I fucking got in touch with this lawyer and he went, just plead fucking guilty to £100 fine, that, mate. Because you're not a player, it's not fucking violent conduct and that. Just, anyway, so pleaded guilty. Next minute, fucking fine come, 1,200 quid. Like, you fucking what? You know, people don't, professional footballers weren't getting fucking fined that. This is like 10, 12 years ago. Fuck off. So I phoned the woman, I said, what's this for now? 1,200 fucking quid. She said, well, £600 fine, £600 cost. I said, what's the fucking cost for? She said, well, it was that bad in the referee's report. We've got them down to explain to us what you did. I said, it doesn't fucking work that way, love. I said, if I plead guilty to something, you're fucking guilty. So you go by what that report is. You don't need no one to come and put fucking jam on it. You can fuck off with that. I'm not paying it. She said, I don't know what you mean. I said, look, let me tell you this now. And there was this horrible fella, John Deacon, Welsh FA fella. He's a twat. I said, if I come in your office now, is Mr. Deacon there? She went, yeah, he is. I said, if I come down there now with a samurai sword, chopped his fucking head off, right? You see it. I plead guilty in court, you don't have to go to court. That's how it is. If I plead not guilty, you go to court. That's where all the expenses come from. I said, I pleaded fucking guilty. So you bringing the referee and the two linesmen to say how fucking bad it was is absolute bollocks. I'm not paying it. Anyway, just put the phone down. About 10 minutes later, this fella phoned me from Welsh FA. He said, fucking hell, mate, you're in the shit. Do you want to phone the police on you? I said, why? He said, you're threatening to chop this fella's fucking head off. I said, fuck off, mate. It's a fucking analogy. I'm just using an example of what I'm trying to explain. So I had to phone her up and say, look, I'm sorry. You understand it? She dropped it. So pulled the police off. And got to pay the fucking fine. And to this day, mate, I've never paid it. So I'm still banned from every aspect of non-league fucking football. And they will never get that money off me, mate. That was the end of my career.
Do you regret the past that you had been involved, that you were involved in, and maybe you could have took a managerial career that it could have potentially took off? Because your past always comes back and bites you in the ass to a certain extent. Massively,
mate. I've had it with like non-league football, jobs, stuff like that, and it comes back and bites you. But you've got to take that route, mate, haven't you? Like, for everything I've lost through my past, I've gained so much more because I've turned it round. You know, I like to think fully reformed and rehabilitated football nuisance. That's my Twitter thing, you know. I did it. People say I'm a so-and-so. Fully reformed, rehabilitated football nuisance. It's introduced me to the likes of yourselves, ex-players on the circuit who we've managed to work with again. You know, I've been, since the book come out, probably had far better things happen to me than bad things, if you like. Mm-hmm. And for taking the odd bit of a fucking downer on the football, because I think nowadays it's gone all badges and you've got to do all. I don't think I'd have ever been arsed with that, mate. I like the crack with the lads and the management side of it and that, but I don't think I'd have been arsed sitting down in this day and age with all this bollocks that's going on in football now. Yeah. I wouldn't survive in this day and age, put it that way, mate. Not a fucking chance.
Especially if somebody had Tourette's anyway.
Well, yeah, not only that, but you know what else is going on, James? You know, you got the women referees and all this kind of thing and that, and I think it's just a fucking recipe for disaster. Like,
what about going forward for the future, brother? What's the plans?
Well, fucking hell, mate, I'm a bit old for it all now, aren't I? So hopefully I've got the book coming out next year. I've got a couple of shops now, mate. I've got a good memorabilia shop over the water there. I do all right, mate. I was doing well on the sports promotions until COVID come in. You know, I've had some great times on that. I've done all the ex-footballers and that. I was Frank Bruno's Northwest agent for about 6 months. You know, that was fantastic. With Big Joe Egan, I've seen him on your show. We've done stuff with Mike Tyson and
Frank Bruno's coming on as well. He's getting a new book out.
Frank's coming on as Frank's a great fella, mate. Honestly, I wouldn't say me and Frank fell out because he was going through a bad time of his life, mate.
Mental health.
And I hope he watches this, because I don't think I've ever told him this, mate. Frank, when I was working with him, could have still fought, mate. He probably still could now. Physically wise, he's still a fucking unit, mate. And he used to stay in the hotel by ours and train and that. But he needed that little tablet for his bipolar, and I think he didn't like taking it because he didn't think he needed it. But fucking hell, every day he was sacking us. He was sacking his driver. He was fucking hell, I don't know, ordering 500 conifer trees because he thought the press were looking at him and shit like that. And but fucking hell, mate, he's honestly one of the most nicest people you could ever wish to meet, to work with, and then do anything for you, mate. A quick example, mate. We had a do in Rochdale, and he always used to say, I've never been here, are you going to meet us there? And that's it. Frank, I can't meet you there tonight, mate. It's my mum's 85th birthday, and she lived in a sheltered accommodation, and I said, I can't, mate, I've got to go to this little party. He said, well, what if I pick you up? I said, I'll tell you what, you pick us up and just come in and say happy birthday. He said, I'll fucking be there. Gave him the address. And I had to say to this woman in the sheltered accommodation, listen, there'll be a fella coming about half an hour in a big car. Apart where the ambulance is, but he'll only be here 10 minutes and we'll fuck off. Don't tell anyone. She said, who is it? I can't let it happen. I said, well, it's fucking Frank Bruno. She said, all right, okay, no problem. And fucking hell, mate, she must have told about 200 fucking people. So the next minute, this fucking big red Bentley comes up into this fucking estate with all masonettes, and every fucking woman was on the balconies with the babies and all that. And Frank turns up. Andy, all right, yeah. He said, fucking hell. He said, haven't they seen a Bentley before? I said, Frank, it's in Flint. They never seen a black fella. And he was like, who fucking... Anyway, he came in, mate, and he spent an hour in there with everybody. And nothing was too much trouble. And that's the kind of fucking level of the fella. Nothing too much trouble for him. And do you know what? I'm so happy for him that he's exercised his demons a bit, if you like, and he's had the proper help he needed. Because not long after we stopped working together, I think he got sectioned, didn't he, and stuff like that happened.
And things like that happen.
And he's an absolute top fella. Like,
what's your best memory at Everton?
At Everton, best memory. Oh, there's a couple. Fella Billy Kenny, had a good game against fucking Liverpool once. The best memory at Goodison, I think. Everyone mentions the Bayern Munich game when we beat Bayern Munich 3-1 to get to the final of the Cup Winners' Cup. One of the greatest nights. But as a kid, I was always a big fan of Bob Latchford, and he got 30 goals once in one season. And we beat Chelsea, and I was there as a kid that day, and stuff like that. You just memories as a kid forever, aren't they? But I got back in the end. I had to go every year, James. They had to put a fucking appeal in after about 5 years. And then my solicitors are fucking vultures, mate, aren't they? I'd get letters off solicitors saying, you can appeal against this, you can do this, you can do that, and all this. And I was like, well, I'll fucking do it. And they were getting paid, weren't they? And then I'd have to go there, my fucking shirt and tie on. I was like that fella off Shawshank, Red. Remember, he goes in every year and he talks a load of bollocks, and then boom, rejected. And there was a fella, mate, at the fucking Ray Foy, and we were at Liège in the Cup, and I've done the flights with Everton and the trips abroad, and we took this fucking coaches to Liège. And we had these vests on here to help, just because we had to have them to go on the boat. But the fucking fella that printed them put a UEFA badge on them. And we were by the ground, and this fucking police come, and this Ray Foy had pointed me out, and they fucking got me, mate. And they fucking ripped this vest off me, locked me up overnight in Belgium for faking to be a UEFA fucking steward. And it was nonsense, mate. It was just a mistake by the printer. We were just trying to... Anyway, fucking used them. And I went to this appeal, and I was like the first one. And he said, you don't know who I am, do you? And I went, no. He said, I'm the fella you were calling all sorts and telling to fuck off in Liège. They had sorry about that, mate. Rejected. And then after 10 years, I went back again. I never gave up on it, mate. I went in, but I just started taking my daughter, and I was having to take her to the turnstile and hand her over the turnstile to her uncle going in. And it was dead sad, mate. I said, why can't you come in, Dad, and all this? And then... fucking one game, I got a call, and you got to go into Everton. And this Ray Foy fella got me, and he went, we watched you on the CCTV last week. We thought you were going in, they were ready to nick you, but what you did was fucking spot on. Was your daughter? I said, yeah. He goes, right, that's from Saturday. Fucking clear the decks. You're back in, like, I fucking made up. I thought I couldn't understand that. And then about 6 weeks later, he died. He knew he was ill. And I think he just wanted to fucking clear the decks, you know. And so I was back in. The only thing was, the daft thing, I had to sign a behavioural record and go in a non-risk area. So I got in touch with one of the lads. He said, can you get us a couple of tickets in the director's box? He said, yeah, fucking hell. A couple of grand each and that for the rest of the season. And I've gone in and I've turned up with my daughter on the Saturday. And the stewards are like, yeah, fuck off, you're not coming in here, you fucking soft twat. So I said, yeah, look, it's fucking... And they were on the radios and that, and they're like, fucking hell, they're... So I think they meant the family stand, but I've gone in the director's box, got lounge seats. I've been there ever since, and I enjoy it. Do a lot of work still with the community, not so much with the Former Players Foundation, but I still do a lot with Everton in the community, and we do the dinners and that, mate, and it's good, you know. I still do an awful lot with charity work, you know. I'm not... It's just what I like doing, mate. I really like doing it.
How hard is it to stop the fighting? How hard really is it? Like,
I tell you now, mate, I won't go to games that I think there might be a bit of trouble, mate. I won't go to them because you never know if you're going to get, you know, pulled in or recognised. Another downside of the Bucks shit is that, you know, you go to places, fucking hell, mate. I remember going to Newcastle and one of the Newcastle lads were banned and we got on with them, you know, and he's like, come and meet us for a drink. And then we played Jasmine, I think it was called. And then we fucked off into town after. He said, go to this fella's pub, Test Man, in the Adelphi. He look after you till we get down. And I went there and then fucking hell, mate, it was a nightmare. They fucking wanted to kill me. And this one fella was reading past, shouting past us, look at this, what he's put, Tess, fucking we're wankers and that. And he, you better get out, mate. He got fucking nearly killed. Another time went to Birmingham and come right on top there, fucking hell. I was in the executive box and they were going to come through the fucking door. What's this twat doing here, you know? I was with the likes of Howard Kendall, Bob Latchford, Barry Horn. There was like a day for ex-Birmingham and ex-Everton players. And the steward said, you're going to have to fuck off here, mate. You're going to get killed here in a minute. So it can be dodgy, you know, people. And you go other places and they say, I went to Man United the other week, took my daughter in the box with some of Man United's old heads. And they're fucking brilliant. You know, lads, you just fucking crack on, we forget on, don't we? But if there's any chance of it being a bit iffy somewhere, mate, I steer well clear now.
What do you think about firms nowadays compared to 80s, 90s?
I mean, it's a lot more, that changed, mate, isn't it? I won't disrespect anybody by saying, you know, it's 20 years too late, 30 years too late, like the foreign parts, we're trying to emulate it. But the lads now who were getting nicked, they're going to jail for long periods and their lives can be ruined, can't they? And the chances of getting away with it are fucking zero, really, nowadays. What's London the most CCTV per square mile in the world, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What chance? You know, I lost a few mates to trouble at West Ham a few years ago, you know, 2.5 years for fucking silly scrap outside a pub. You just got to be very, very careful, mate, haven't they?
Yeah. When's the book coming out then, Andy, the 20-year anniversary?
The book's coming out next. It's about a year away, mate. October, because it's 20 years since then. It's virtually finished, mate. There's a few little bits and bobs in it, different stuff. A lot of non-football stuff, you know, like some of the stuff we just spoke about. The growing up, the dinners, the people you work with and that, you know, and things like that. The trips, you know, the travel company. You know, there's a place in London we used to hire for the Wembley games, Silver Spoons. You know, we had some fucking laughs there. Like, used to rent that place off an Indian guy, Mr. Singh, bless him. $8,000 you had to pay him, but you got 2,000 in and a tenner. And that's fucking good money, you know. That went tits up. We were renting out to too many teams. I think her name, she's the top woman in the police now, Chris Dick or something, isn't her name? I remember one day we were there. Southampton against Carlisle, we rented it, and she come and shut the place down. And she had the fucking big motorbikes in front of her, little flag in the front of the car, and I said, officer, why have you shut the fucking club down? And she said, address me as ma'am, please, if you want me to answer it. And I went, oh, sorry, ma'am, why have you shut it? She said, 1, I don't like the fucking shithole, and 2, known criminals are making money out of it. I said, well, how do you work known criminals are? She said, my intelligence tells us known criminals are making money. I said, well, Mr. Crispin, top lad Eddie Crispin, Portsmouth, put us onto this. I said, he's a member of the England Supporters Club. He's not here today. He's Portsmouth and Southampton. So she's on the radio and she went, no, it's, my intelligence tells me there's a Mr. Nicholls involved in it. And I've got me fucking bag here full of money and I'm saying, oh, right, I'm off. And then the next minute, the fella on the motorbike, ma'am, that is Mr. Nicholls. Right, come back here. And she gave me a fucking bollocking, mate, and said, get the fuck off my patch now. I'll be fucking in touch with you, fucking HMRC and all this. Fucking clear off. And that was the end of that. Another fucking door shuts. Another one opens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's been eventful, you know. And then I'm trying to do... My daughter was very, very poorly the last 2 years, mate. She's had some terrible troubles. And we're raising money for the hospitals and the McDonald House and all the hay, you know, they saved her life. So just stuff like that, mate. Now we're doing that. And like we say, every time we come on here, you know, we the lad these things, we're talking about mental health. And that's never been so big. And, you know, I think through this lockdown, mate, fucking hell, I know 3 people who took their own lives. And it's sad, you know, it's fucking horrible, mate. And I think men now have got to, you know, they've got to own up to their problems, mate. Big, hard, fucking tough men are found hanging from trees because they don't like talking to people. You know, I'm going up these mountains now, walking for charity, and I've got different people coming with me because the first couple I did, I'd see loads of women coming down with the dogs and chatting happy and fucking, and then you just see fellas walking up on their own with the fucking heads. You think, fucking hell, mate, you morning, you see him, you think he's got fucking problems with him. So I put it out there. If anyone fucking wants to come up with us in the morning, come up. And fucking hell, mate, the response was unbelievable. People coming up and some of the stuff they're telling you, you couldn't believe it. Just because it's a little offer, a little olive branch, come on, mate, open up. And people after they got in touch, can I come up again? I feel much better for telling you. I think just, it's horrendous, mate. This day and age now, mental health with fellas, it's fucking heartbreaking, mate.
Yeah, it's through the roof, man, and it's sad that people are too scared to speak out, but as soon as you speak out, that's when you can start to get the help to then
you know
better
what,
your
don't
life.
get me wrong, mate, when my daughter was in hospital, I was driving through the tunnel. My missus used to stay there every night with her, you know, and we had horrendous nights there, mate. You know what you'd never want to hear, mate, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. You know, the surgeon there's basically said, look, tonight I'm going to be phoning you up and saying, all you're going to hear is, it's good news. That means I've saved her life, or it's bad news. That means come and see us. Basically, she's gone, and I'm thinking, you know, you don't want that, mate. You don't want anyone to hear that. Fortunately enough, 3 a.m, the phone went. It's good news. We've managed to sort the problem out. Big, massive burst stomach ulcer she had. We've stopped the bleeding in the artery, saved her life. And he just went, you can thank me again, and put the fucking phone down. Like, fucking hell, you know. And she'd been through hell and back, my daughter, with it, mate. And affected her massively. You know, she lost 2 years of school. This Christmas is the first year. She's back home with us at Christmas for 3 years, mate. So if that can affect kids and they're not particularly getting that much help, imagine people who have suddenly, in this, what's gone on now, have got no one to turn to, have they? And I'm thinking to myself, fucking hell, mate, you know, just by chatting to someone going up on a fucking hill walk, could have saved their life. When you not just change their life, James, you could save their lives, mate. Yeah. And I just think, I don't know, and it's always been there. How many in the past have, like, I think we spoke, mate. If the likes of Robin Williams can kill himself, mate, someone as fucking funny and happy and as successful as him, anyone can, mate, can't they?
Yeah, because we never know what's within.
And I just think there should be something there, mate, for men to get rid of the stigma of, don't want to talk about it, suffering in silence, and then it's too fucking late, mate.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. But again, guys like yourself doing these kind of walks, and you, all your past, everything that you go through, you realise it's all fucking irrelevant. When
You know what it is, mate. I think to people, fucking hell, mate. You know, I've no pleasure from saying, mate, I've been to jail, I've been in some awful trouble, I've done some awful bad things in my life, I've done all sorts of good things. I don't think, you know, I've been through that with my daughter, God bless her. You know, I've lost both my parents, luckily enough. I managed to spend an awful lot of time with them before they both passed away. My dad before the book come out, you know, and I still, one of my biggest regrets to this life is I never ever had the chance to tell my dad I was sorry, and he never really seen the good I did in my life after he passed away. He passed away just before I brought the book out. My mum, luckily enough, she passed away 6 years ago last week, and she saw a lot of good come out of my life. She saw the grandkids, she saw me rebuild my life and come good and have a lot of good press for a lot of the good things I did. you know, and I just wish my dad could have seen that, really. And that saddens me, but it doesn't sadden me enough to think there's no fucking way out of all this, whereas a lot of people just do not see an avenue out of some of the shitholes they get themselves into and the messes they do. And there always is a way out, mate, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking money, shit, you know, drugs, get away from it. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of it's to do with you know, relationship problems.
Get drugs, social media,
Social media is a fucking evil thing, mate. An evil thing, mate. And people have to be thick-skinned and that, but no one, you know, imagine a school kid. I mean, I've no doubt, and when this goes out, you'll have like people say, this big stupid twat doesn't know what he's talking about. All over social media. Fucking bother me, mate. I'm looking thick-skinned and I've had it all before. But some kid in school tries to do a little blog or something and they get fucking battered, you know, and it's sad, mate. It's just, you know, what the fucking hell? There's no escape from, is there? You know, and I think that's why that social media thing, and Tony Bellew hit the nail on the head, mate, the other week when he said everybody should be registered with a fucking driving licence or a passport and their address bill to say where they're doing it from, mate.
Yeah.
And then they could just go around their fucking houses and say, well, have you just fucking done this, you twat?
Definitely, man. For anybody that's maybe watching, struggling with mental health, Andy, what advice would you have for them?
Anyone struggling with mental health, mate, there's no shame in it, mate. There is no shame. And I've seen firsthand how it can take a family to breaking point. But there's no shame in it. You know, I'll be honest, mate, I've come home from that hospital through the tunnel, going back to my other daughter. And I'm nowhere near close enough to feel as bad as some people have. But odd days when I've come there, I thought, you know, if this tunnel collapsed on me now, I wouldn't give a fuck because my life's that sad at the moment. I wouldn't ever think I'm going to drive off a bridge or jump off a cliff. But at times I would think, you know, if that just fucking fell in on my head, I wouldn't give a fuck because I feel so shit. But you get yourself together, you regroup, talk to people. And it's something they've got to do, mate. You know, you've got to put it out there. There's no fucking shame in it anymore, mate. You know, it's a stigma about weakness and that with men. What the fuck's weak about saying to your mate, can I have a chat? Can we, you know, let's fucking walk uphill. Don't sit in the fucking pub on your own lashing fucking Jack Daniels down. You're feeling sorry for yourself. And then wake up the morning and do it again. Say to someone to tell you, what you fancy going for a fucking walk? Fancy doing this, that and the other? It's there, mate. There's enough people who listen, enough people understand you anymore. It's not underground anymore, is it, mental health? It's there for you, mate. And anybody can suffer from it. Let's make no mistake by that. You know, in 3 months' time, you could feel like fucking something could happen that triggers it off, mate. Once that hamster starts running either too fast or slow or running the wrong way, you can be fucked in a matter of weeks. Tell someone about it. Don't go the wrong way. Don't make the wrong decisions. Because there's a lot of good people out there who can help you. And that's, you know, I know firsthand on that, mate. I've lost good friends through depression, suicide, and I've seen mental health firsthand, and it's a fucking vile, evil disease, mate.
Yeah, it's that. Andy boy,
James, listen,
coming on today, brother.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
Likewise. And,
thanks very much, pal.
Can't wait to read the second book, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
God bless you, brother.
Take care, pal. Thank you.